Hi guys, how are you doing? It's Nduta again, and I'm in Northborough. I came to Walmart to charge Red, that's what I'm calling her, and get a few groceries. It's going to be a busy weekend and I need to be prepared for it. But first I wanted to jump on here and just talk to you guys a bit. And I have to say, first of all, that I'm so thankful to the new subscribers. I welcome you with a open heart, open arms. Hope you enjoyed this space and the information that I like to share. Under the playlists, yeah, there's one about spiritual aspect of moving abroad, and then there's experiences abroad, and I'm just trying to fill up the experiences as we go. So some of the things I do, as long as I feel comfortable and the people I am with feel comfortable, I share. I got some maize. I want to make githeri. It's 10:53. I've done my Walmart run and I'm just glad I started early. I have some things accomplished at least on a busy day. And I just jumped on here to say, there was a lady serving me and she was so slow, so old. You can tell it's like she retired and then had to come back to work, because the policy at work in most of these places is that they have to hire disabled people, old people, like senior citizens. And you know, there's some people who, due to some things that happened in your life, you're not able to, like, you did have retirement, you did have savings, and so you cannot afford an old people's home. So you either go to the streets or you go to work. And yeah, a lot of places have that policy where they have to hire you. And so when you see such a person serving you, even though she could be the slowest ever and maybe just not even comprehending, like, you wouldn't even rush her or, you know, try to, like, now I was thinking maybe I should get her to chat some things and then I just pack for her. But I didn't want to interrupt her thoughts, because what if she got confused, you know? So I did not. I just stood there patiently and, you know, just tried to be kind, because there was a guy in a wheelchair that passed next to her counter, and he was like, "Where's the pharmacy?" He's old and shaking and alone. And she pointed, "You go that way to the pharmacy." And then she complained that why is he interrupting me when I'm busy working? And she's working so slow. And I told her it's because you look kind and helpful. And so she smiled, you know, like you could tell that was a nice, a kind thing that her heart just received. But I'm saying all this to say, it's so sad that the senior, like, here you do not have anybody except yourself, yeah? So should you make wrong calculations in life, that's it. Because I've seen returnees go back to Kenya and or to wherever they came from, and there's no one to take care of them. So they use up all their savings and they have nothing to fall back on. So they end up maybe selling the home they built there, or whatever it is that they had there that they were going home to develop. So if they fall sick, there's no one to take care of them, yeah? And also, another thing is that, like in Kenya, I'm saying Kenya because it's my country, I've seen this a lot. Like when people are older and they are working, we get so furious as a society. We are like, why is he working? Kwani hana watu wao, you know? Like, doesn't he have relatives to take care of him? Doesn't he have kids? And people will even dig to get the story. So there's that. We expect that our relatives, our people will take care of us. So in the few cases that we don't see that, we are really vexed and we are thinking his people should, their people should take care of them. But here you realize as you begin your working years, you're just alone. Even teenagers, like some will be made to pay bills, and so they decide, instead of paying bills in my mom's house, let's move out with a friend. And that's how they start surviving right after high school. Or even during high school, they have to help pay like power bill, which is fine according to the agreement you could be having at home. But you understand, if that parent gets older, the child will want to abandon them because they felt abandoned when they were young. Because once you start working and you're struggling with the bills, you feel like you're just alone out there, yeah? So unless it's a child's choice, you don't want them going that way. You'd rather hustle now so that when you're older, sick, and unable to take care of yourself, your child will remember all the kindness you offered, even though sometimes it doesn't seem like that at the moment, yeah? Oh man, it's a different society, and it's just so sad to see. It had me a bit flustered because I really don't like to see senior citizens working, but they also have a mind of their own and they can be very stubborn, and sometimes you just can't come into an agreement. But anyway, that's my thought of the day. I had to pass at Patel Brothers. This is it. It's an Indian shop and they sell a lot of the things we need in our African cooking. And today I specifically wanted beans, but I also buy lemons here because they're so cheap, like 3 at $1. And I wanted to also get vegetables. For those who know us, my hubby used to be bulky, and then we went on a keto diet with him and one of my sons. They were supporting me actually because I was diagnosed with a fatty liver disease. And man, it's valid because I've eaten cake for a long time, for many years, yeah. All the experiments I did for my business, I would eat cake, mostly because I love it. I'm a sweet tooth. I've always eaten sweet. So Kiliniramba, when we got here, the food is different. A lot of foods also have sugar. So when I got that diagnosis, I had to go on a diet that would help me lose fat, and especially around the liver, and keto diet is one such diet. So we did it for some time. I had tried before and still failed because my cells ask for ugali. I love ugali, chapo, all of that, yeah. And if I could eat that and work out, it would be perfect. But I wasn't very diligent in working out, yeah. And I even just showed what I'm doing so you guys could give me motivation. So like if I tell you, then I'm committed, yeah, to do it. But I wasn't able to organize myself in such a way that I could work out, because I'm at home at 6 or 6:30 depending on the shift. And then when I come in the evening, I'm so drained. Like you guys, my sis was asking me, "Kwani ufanye, you're not teaching on YouTube anymore?" And I'm like, I am. I even posted some videos. But how about the teaching? Why are you not teaching? My sis is my fan. So anyway, back to my hubby. Hubby, without working out, the keto diet, he took to the keto diet so well, because most men love meat, eh? Me, I fantasize sometimes with not even like going on a veggie diet. He loves meat, and whatever comes with it, like he loves vegetables. He never used to love the salads a lot, but he adjusted. And okay, so a lot was coming with the keto diet, like eating nuts. He loves nuts. But it's reached a point where with keto, there's a point where you're just satisfied. You never feel hungry. Like the body is doing an autophagy, So like feeding on the fat that's already in the body. And me, I'm watching this guy just losing and losing to a point where I am like, no, I'm not comfortable. And I'm telling him, you've lost too much. So you have to start finding a way to just add a few kilos, or just tone up. If it's going to the gym, we try and go together, because it's not working. I mean, the Merus will come for me like Montoyo Adiri, the Tikoend, so it's tough, because now he's never hungry. I mean, there are times he'll crave for coffee, and then now he can't eat the nuts anymore. Those were stabilizing his weight, because whenever he eats the nuts, his tummy just, it's like eating fat for him now. So his tummy is not settled. So I do understand him. Because I reached a point where I was in ketosis too, and there's a wellness you feel, especially in the tummy. If you used to bloat, you don't bloat anymore. like you can just feel, you feel so good, your body feels so good, yeah. But then I fell into temptation of eating starches, and I went back to bloating and all that. So I'm trying to find my way back to better health. But in the meantime, I'm looking at him like, hey, he needs more care. You know, like whenever I'm working late, he will come and take care of dinner. And you know, you can eat and feel satisfied if you're cooking for yourself, but there's just something that comes with care. I feel it too, especially when when he brings me like my lemon water at night after dinner. You know, he will serve me a drink, or one of the boys will serve me a drink. Even if it's hot cocoa and I'm not supposed to take it, I'll be so happy because it's service, yeah? It's acts of service. And as a grown-up, you know, we are stubborn in our, we get set in our ways where it's comfortable, and we become stubborn. But imagine he has to either add weight or join a gym, because you know, when you join a gym and you're spending all that energy, your body will ask for more, right? Like you will need to feed it so that the muscles can feed on something, yeah, and tone up. So we need a lifestyle change. If you do vegetables like cauliflower rice, he loves broccoli, so more vegetables, especially cooked vegetables with this rain. That's comfort food. And then nyama. So yeah, that might help. But wanangu meisha. It doesn't feel good. Okay, I'm back with my musings. This is musing what? Number 4 or 3? And this is about food prices globally. Do you remember a time? Oh, I do remember a time where if we shopped $300, it would last us the whole month. It would be a lot, yeah? Tell me why, after all that shopping, both in Walmart, Patel's, and now I come into shows. I was gonna buy almond flour, and I just decided to grab more vegetables because we eat a lot of vegetables. How is it that vegetables can be this expensive, yeah? Because I feel like with the frequency we buy vegetables, we spend more on veggies than we do on meat. Look at this. Right? You get into a shop after all that, like I went far away so I could get the things I needed, and then I go to the shop around the corner and spend $2.11. I wasn't ready. It's okay, but it's a call to get more organized, yeah? Yeah. Eat everything that you buy. Make sure you have your meals well prepared. And the worst thing is that when you do meal preps, nobody wants them after a few days, yeah? So I try not to do meal preps except for pilau. Let me tell you, the joy pilau in the freezer gives my boys, like they love to come home knowing that there's still some pilau left. So I mean, I must endeavor to have that. And today I'm going to especially make a big pot. But think about it, prices are so steep, you know, and that goes for everyone. Like, gosh, the amount of effort we must put in to just feeding our families, because I believe while children are at home, the best thing you can give them is food and education, yeah? And then of course, if you have opportunities you can expose to all that you can expose your kids to. If they say no, well and dandy, but at least you tried, yeah? So it's important to do all we can for our kids. They might not even seem like they appreciate it at the time, but they will, right? Like we were kids once. We didn't know how much our parents were struggling, but now we get it, you know? But I do believe that this is the last ours will be the last generation where you have to take care of the previous generation and the generation ahead, meaning, you know, our parents and our children. And hopefully, if we get a good grip, if we can take care of ourselves in old age, our kids will therefore be able to give more opportunities to their kids. Perhaps build themselves more before they even get kids. Hopefully, man. But if it doesn't work that way, God is still God. And, you know, our God is still their God and is going to do great and mighty things in their lives. But whenever we can, we must help out the younger generation. They need as much help as they can get when we can give it, and then when we are older, perhaps they will remember, right? Higher. Now turn it home for real. I'm home now. I'm about to ask for help to unpack, but I think I've done well for a rainy day. I got most of the things we needed, and so red, yeah. Red, the car is red. So yeah, we decided to keep red because there was an option of having it as a rental. If you know me, you know that this is the first time we're actually getting a car, a family car. When we came, we found hubby with a car that we've had all this time, and it's a beautiful car, a strong muscle car, yeah. And so that was his bestie for the longest time. He drove from Canada with it, so yeah, you know, like it was his boy, yeah. And so when we came over and Mike saw it, he really wanted to have it, you know, for himself. He was like, I mean, he was there whenever every repair was getting done, you know, and the dad works on the car a lot, so he's good at that. So all the mechanical stuff, whenever he would do, Mike would be there just doing the most. And even now he tries to work on the car. So all those oil changes, having to change brakes and all that, he's been learning, yeah. And so he wanted to keep that car, although it was getting very expensive because it's old and it was breaking down a lot. But Mike took it on, yeah. Yeah, so we've decided, hubby and I, to keep this one, and not especially as a family car, because let me tell you, whenever you have an option, all the teenagers in the family will ride with their brother, you know. And it's funny, like whenever my friends and I would be going somewhere, all the kids would pile onto her husband's car, and then us as the girls would go together. You know what I mean? Yeah. So this is like just from hubby and I, and the reason why we decided to keep it is that it's a good car. It is stable. It is one of the safest vehicles I ever drove. And then maybe perhaps it's because it's new, but it's so smooth, but it's very safe, yeah. And we felt very led because a lot led on to this point of deciding to get this car. And let me tell you, there's so many times we've gone to a dealership contemplating a car. And actually, the last time we were going to look at a Mazda, I wanted to get a Mazda for myself because I require a car for work. While we were going, when we were going around the car dealership, I spotted a red Mercedes GLX. And I can't say that I've ever consciously made a decision to get a red car. But I do remember, one time, I had a dream that we had a red car, but it was like a saloon because I could see the top and it had a rooftop, a wide rooftop. Inaitangwaje kitu. Anyway, so it had that, or it was blackish on top. I didn't dwell because it's some years back. It's some years back, but I had the dream and I dismissed it because I didn't exactly have the funds. And I know in America it doesn't really, like, you don't have to have funds to gain some things, but you do have to have very good credit. There are people who will not look at you if you don't have good credit. If especially you use your credit card and don't pay or skip payments, you never want to come to that place. But it's very easy to happen. So if it does happen, don't gaslight yourself. These things happen. People have gone through stuff, man. People have stories out here. So anyway, at God's right time, he made it beautiful, and we both agree. I feel like it's such a blessing, and it's also like a harvest in a way. Look, I will always talk like this, so bear with me, yeah? I connect a lot of things, and I remember my older cousin used to say, no, not to believe wewe. And yeah, it could be that, and it could be that my view of things is always, you know, there's always a root to it, yeah? So now that I love Wanyiha so much, I wouldn't condemn her for thinking certain way, because that is how I think. Yeah, it's so popular with many people. But like I said, we are so happy with this car right now. And it came so easy, let me tell you. And one thing I have to say, and let me just say it at this point, there are things I've seen it's a pattern. The first time I got my car, the first car I got, I never had to pray for it. But when that time came, it was like a season, yeah? I felt a very deep desire to have a vehicle, and I started looking, like, seriously. And I wanted a Vitz, yeah? So bad, because I felt like a Vitz is what I could afford. Just the same way this time I felt like a Mazda is what I could afford. I wanted that tiny SUV, and I was looking at both Mazda, a Kona, because they're the same type, yeah, or a Honda HRV. Hapo ndio nilikuwa mejieka. And sometimes I wonder, if I see like a bigger SUV, can I really handle that? But driving this car, it feels so good. I've ever driven my friend's RAV4, and I didn't feel comfortable. You know, like, I felt like everything was out of control for me. So I feel like this is it. This is it. And it's a harvest, and it's God's blessing. And I'm in awe of what God can do. I'll never, ever think that we've earned any of the things we have. And it's never about things. Worldly things like a house, a car, you know, those things that you need to be able to find meaning, really, because those are the kind of things we work for. Because what else do we work for? To educate our children, to provide shelter, to provide means. Yeah. So those things, when you reach a point where you can get them, because it is hauling yourself to that point, yeah. If it's credit, you have to build the credit. If it is prayer, you have to build to build your prayer life. If it is planting, you have to have planted in so many places, such that when it comes, you're like, okay, God, I know I did plant, yeah, but you've done so many multiples on this thing right here, yeah. But God is so faithful that at the right time. And I love how he says, will I bring to the point of birth and close up the womb? You know, surely he will not. And so even though I was thinking of a smaller car, this is what God has done, and it's beautiful in our sight. So I'm going to put this video together right now, and then send it, and then we'll talk about more things. But